So the title of this presentation and the points that I would like to share with you, the title is Postcolonial Imaginations of Teaching Methodologies for Embodied Learning in Eco-Theological Classes. It's a long title, but in a nutshell, it brings together several years of researching and experience on weaving together race, gender, theology, and ecology. So I began teaching on religion ecology in 2008 at the Religious Studies Department in the University of Cape Town in South Africa. My colleague and dear friend Nina Kuhl and I conceptualized a course entitled Religion, Spirituality, and Ecology. I explicitly want to create a syllabus that would not only be intellectually stimulating, that would not only introduce the students to new knowledge pertaining to the relationship between religion and ecology, but above all, I wanted a syllabus that would also challenge and motivate students to reorient themselves in their relationship to the natural world. This reorientation began by making the abstract personal and the personal political, to use the illustrious feminist slogan, so that the students could position themselves to enact social and environmental change. Over the past several years of teaching religion ecology by weaving gender and race, I have aimed at developing a teaching methodology that is embodied and experiential in nature. In other words, I want my students to learn by doing, seeing, and experiencing. Furthermore, I want to advance a social and eco-justice praxis that simultaneously disrupt the very patterns that have reproduced systems of domination. In order to do so, I bring to the center of the classroom discussion a continuous analysis of the entire paradigm of hierarchical structures, a methodology of thought that have not only provided justification to the domination of the earth, but also to recognize the common elements in all forms of domination. By exposing the kinship between these various forms of oppression, it becomes clear that injustice involving gender, sex, race, social or economic standings are also deeply ecological issues. I believe that if we fail to recognize how the pervasive legacies of colonial thinking still operate within our own religious, cultural, and socio-economic worldviews, then hierarchical and binary models of relationships will persist as the main archetype for humans and human nature relations. As long as these models of relationship persist, even though those who become focused in the liberation of the earth and all marginalized peoples, we will continuously be susceptible to relationship models influenced by colonialism. This analysis is the start point for what I have called post-colonial imaginations for embodied learning. The classroom becomes a space where I and the students can exercise imagination to creatively develop new ways to interact with the earth, with each other, and with the divine. This is a process of restoring human creativity and agency through a post-colonial eco-theological framework that is focused in training the mind to emancipate the self, the other, and nature. Often, when my American students hear me speaking about post-colonial perspectives, at first they connect that with the experience of those in the global South. I have to explain to them that both the South and the North have been affected by colonial oppression. Therefore, people in both contexts need to learn new ways to deal with the earth and to deal with each other. But here is a nice little secret that I share with them. In the same way that things have been constructed, they can be deconstructed and new constructions can take place. So the type of analysis and debates that are foreground in this class are those that contribute to the construction of hierarchical forms of power that students are often unaware of. In this way, the practice of critical self-reflexivity becomes a central part of the hermeneutical approach, or the toolbox. This is to say that such a framework foregrounds the importance of teaching and learning that, in the words of Gustavo Benavides, have the need to examine knowledge production in relation to location, subject, position. It involves the combinations of two practices: the need to do theology via a process of self-reflexivity and investigating how global concerns intersect with local and immediate realities of oppression. My husband called this as a geographical exercise when I first explained to them that every time that I discussed ecological issues in the classroom, I challenge the students to analyze such an issue from the perspective of both those who are located in positions where there is running water and those who are located in places where there is no running water. When we speak about water problems, when we speak about food, or when we speak about animal rights, I am constantly inviting these students to think about where they are located and how easy it is to them to fight for animal rights. It allows me to challenge the students to think holistically, to make all sorts of connections between the colonization of the earth and the colonization of the earth, between those in a local and global level. This process of education is about exposing how one's own behavior and lifestyle is automatically part of an entire system that regards the earth as well as people, resources, or targets of consumption. From this point, I would like to share with you the starting point that I have adopted in order to develop a syllabus that sets in motion this process of moving away from dualistic and hierarchical structures, and that foster the emancipation of the self, the other, and nature. I choose to use ecology as my starting point. The challenge that I have encountered to start a theological course by using ecology, a social scientific area of research, and not religion, and to do so from a postcolonial perspective, have, however, influenced on the ways I have structured the course and the pedagogical methodology employed. I want to share with you two of those challenges before I speak about ecology as my starting point. The first challenge is the classroom demographics. Religion, even the academic setting, is a sensitive topic to address due to intimate nature or individual engagement that is unique to individuals and to especially when the individuals are believers. It is especially true with regard to teaching about religious imperialism, colonialism, and neocolonialism to a classroom filled with white, middle class, and male Americans. I have put a lot of thought on how to work at the intersection of theology, race, gender, poverty, and ecology in ways that my students can learn about the lived experiences from those in another culture, or even those perspectives from within their own culture, but which has been silenced, and minimize the defensiveness and resistance to learning about realities that challenge their own privilege and assumptions. For these reasons, the readings are chosen to provide analytical skills and to help the students reflect upon their own imbricated positions in the structure of power. Every activity, every reading and dialogue are proposed with the aim to foreground a discussion in light of our own immediate material, cultural, and historical context. and the ways how the immediate is linked with historical developments, so that students can examine their own reality in relation to the kinds of pressure one experiences as well as imposes on other cultures and on the natural environment. In this way, they become not only critically aware of other forms of human and ecological vulnerability, but also have the chance to develop solidarity and a desire for justice in a more holistic way. This is a delicate balance that depends upon students accepting the challenge I raise rather than being defensive, also agreeable that it amounts to little more than fostering apologetic attitudes. This brings me to my second challenge, which I have kindly called intellectual imperialism. One of my and that's difficult everywhere. One of my biggest challenges in developing any theological courses in trying to locate course material. Much of what has been written about the relationship between religion and ecology is produced from the global north. And by global north, I'm talking about the American, European context. This does not mean that we can't learn anything from these texts. Only that the texts are marked implicitly or explicitly by the context of production and the situatedness of its authors. Working from post-colonial perspectives, which teach us to be critical of where knowledge comes from, who speaks to whom, about whom, and why, led me to not only include texts from the global north, but to place this text with texts developed from localized experiences of poverty and colonization in the global south. This is done via documentaries, YouTube, interview, personal experiences, and case studies. And I have chosen those medias because so much haven't been translated to English. Post-colonial insights have prompted me to pay close attention to the working of powers at the level of syllabus content, and consequently demanded a self-reflexive approach to the curricular development. For those reasons, among others, I have decided to develop my syllabus by using ecology as my starting point. Ecology should not be an add-on to theological studies, I tell my students, but instead an effective framework that renders visible the ways in which human individualistic and destructive attitudes towards the environment are imbricated in and result from the working of power, or the workings of power. I divided my course into two parts. In the first half, I lay out a map of our current ecological reality, and in the second part, I approach theology and theological anthropology per se. I start the course by asking what is eco-theology, and if the current local global ecological reality is a religious problem. This is such a nice way to see the level of knowledge that I encounter in the classroom, and the answers are such a precious treasures. I wish I could yes. For each class, I focus on the broad themes such as globalization and sustainability. I, however, approach those themes by providing case studies and offering the space for the sharing of personal experiences. The goal is to raise the questions of what does ecology crisis tell us about humanity, and implicitly about our theological perspectives, yet in a non-threatening way. It does not take long for the students to realize that humanity spreads like wildfire, that human enterprise is regarded above ecological systems, that we value our species over all others, that our lifestyles impact the way others live. The ethical implications of globalization, as one example, to Christian values is a discussion that emerges organically. I purposely plan to discuss theology and theological anthropology during the second half of the course, because by that time the students will have hopefully developed a habit of exercising self-reflexivity in relation to their location and subjective position. In this way, they are constantly challenged to place the workings of power as central in any analysis of the relationship between theology and ecology. This renders visible not only how certain beliefs and theological understanding have implications for human interaction with nature, but also the multiple interlocking matrices of power that finds its expression in the visible and at times not so visible hierarchies between God and human beings and natures, men and women, and different races. In the first class of the theological component, I introduced the existing methods in our disposal to engage with eco-theology. I explained the different start points, the framework developed by eco-theologians and scholars of religions alike. I actually use one of your chapters, Laura, to introduce this discussion to the students. So the students can become familiar with the discussion. I find interesting that how many minutes do you say that? Right, all of that. I have found very interesting how, by introducing the methods adopted and developed by our colleagues, very soon the discussion in the classroom turns around of which theological approach or which understanding of God or which understanding of humanity is the closest to the truth. And by that time, I become a little bit frustrated because I realize that the students haven't yet break the pattern of thinking binaries as much as I wish they had broken. And when this discussion enters, instead of engaging with them and trying to prove which one that I think is the most helpful, I try to move away by explaining to them that the most difficult thing for those that are trying to think ecologically is not to find what is the theology closest to the truth. It's not to find which one that would be in line with their own beliefs, but on how to share and how to develop a shared theological criteria. I try to show to the students that before we started to discuss on what means to be human or what is the divine, if we share in the theological criteria, we're going to be way more effective than if not. So I have borrowed from two famous theories that I like a lot, Judith Plasko and Helen Price's latest book. I understand of what this shared criteria look like. Both of them, Plasko and Price, said that in the broadest sense, a theological criteria it should judge theological views by asking the questions, independent of our location subjective position. Does this theological construction make sense of the word we share? Does this view of the divine promote the flourishing of the word? And then I add my 2 cents. Do our theologies disrupt imperialistic models of human relations? Or as Asian feminist theologian said, named Kim, do they teach us to survive not at the expense of somebody else's survival? By establishing this theological criteria, every point after goes through that lenses. If we're going to talk about God, if we're going to talk about humans, if we're going to talk about earth, heaven, hell, and that's a very fun topic to discuss in any theology class, by the way. Every other topic goes through this criteria. Does this view promote the flourishing of the word? And immediately, the students are again challenged to think about themselves, where they are located, what does it mean to think from the place that they are, and how does the way how they think affect on the life of those around them. Those ideas and those proposals, it's with the intent of bringing voices that haven't been included most of the time in the eco-theological discussions. It is to disrupt a pattern of thinking only from our own perspective, but allowing other perspectives to take place. I want to end this talk by sharing with you this. I watched this documentary with my students, and one of the scientists in the documentary said that something like this. I'm trying to paraphrase it. He said that humans are capable of developing care to those most close to them. And they are capable of developing a very deep sense of care, but rarely to those that escape their sight. And now, how to speak about eco-theology and the care of the earth, and the ways how it is going to affect the next generations, or those that are in the global south, in a way that really develops solidarity